This week on Supercars Torque, Courtney flexes his muscles, the Groves put their money where their mouth is, and cars that win gradually look better. The big news this week is some Formula One drivers got to partake in some supercar action. Fernando Alonso jumped aboard Thomas Randall's Castrol car, and Sergio Perez jumped in Jamie Whinkup's demo ZB Commodore. It's always fun to see these kind of things. The guys aren't going to, jump out of it and say, it was a heap of crap. But yeah, it's always good to see, some high-profile guys jump in the cars and say nice things about them, even if they're going to say that regardless. The other big kind of news coming into the weekend, is the Flex sponsorship on the side of Courtney's car. Apparently a German power tool brand. I did have to look them up to see what the go was with them. Apparently they're new to the Australian market and looking to expand. Definitely a good way of doing that on the big stage at the Grand Prix. Courtney was somewhat competitive, and probably one of those last minute cut price deals. So they got a lot of exposure over the weekend for probably not a big investment. So we have 4 races to talk about this weekend, so I'm going to get into it quickly and try and cover them all off so you don't have to listen to me for too long today. Race 1, probably the most interesting one. Starting off with qualifying, Shane Van Gisbergen didn't get a lap in. The 8-minute qualifying session. Now, I was saying the 10-minute qualifying sessions last week weren't long enough, so they made them 8 minutes. A bit strange that 8 and then a 12-minute session. The 12-minute sessions in comparison seemed like a lifetime of qualifying. Anyway, the 8-minute session, Shane did not get a lap in, so he got to start. I don't think it was actually last, but it was second last. Didn't matter too much for him in the end, but we'll get into that during the race. The amount of damage to Jake Kostecki's car, I saw that Tech Pro barrier that disappeared over the weekend. My God, did that do some damage to that one. The other big thing from qualifying, Reynolds taking the first pole position for the Groves. Wow, they had some speed over the weekend. And as we go through the results, not a flash in the pan. I fully expected these guys to kind of, have a bit of a waste of a year this year, and they're looking speedy. The big talking point of the race, of course, was Jaime using LeBrock as brakes and, smashing LeBrock. But no penalty for that one. Anyway, the big thing of the race, the tyres blistering. So DJR, I suppose what you'd call a traditional strategy with a race like this, start on the hard tyres, get rid of them quickly because, the softs are going to last all race and off you go blazing into the distance, which, they looked like heroes around that mid-race. Didn't end up so well for them, did it? When a few of the guys who started on the softs and you started pulling them off and you started seeing the blistering on the TV and, this is not looking so good here. Then we saw Anton run off, ended up being twice in one lap. Davo I don't think he ran off, but he just lost a heap of pace, and they dropped like stones in water through the field. I think it was great. Of course, jump on Bookface, see all the people. They're probably the same people who were complaining about why do we need a tyre stop in a 20-lap race. Probably the same ones that are going, it's stupid that the tyres don't last the whole race. You're always going, I think it's brilliant, have tyres like that all the time, please. Good work, Dunlop. It actually spiced up the race, and it meant that there was real strategy in it. 20-lap race and seeing guys stop twice in it. So more of it. Of course, Shane van Gisbergen blazed from, helped in turn because they were on the right strategy for that race. But yeah, came from, essentially last onto the podium. How are you going to stop this guy? He's just all the parity talk in the world. Shane seems to be on the next level, and then you've got all these other guys kind of level pegging in there. Chaz took that win in that first race, and he took the win in the fourth race as well. But he's a bit of an outlier there, and he seems to be pretty similar kind of to, the DJR and the Grove guys and that. Cam Waters all seem to be a bit in the hunt, but yeah, Shane's just, kind of on that next level, and you just saw that the way he was, nearly playing with the field all weekend, but yeah, coming from the back onto the podium. Before the race I was joking a bit like, he'll be on the podium anyway. But to actually see him do it, it just shows where he's at compared to everyone else at the moment. Race 2 was the one with all of the incidents. Off the start, Davison took the lead, but Shane just kind of decided where he was going to overtake him. Lap 2, and off he went and just did his thing for the rest of the race. We did see some safety cars. Jaime spun at the second last corner by Brown. There wasn't a lot of footage from this one, but from what you could see, it looked like Jaime was totally innocent, which usually with a Jaime incident, he does a bit of a cool thought and kind of, gets himself involved in these things, and then complains about it. Safety car comes out, of course, everyone stops, double stacking everywhere. Just on a side note, I was actually in the pits for these pit stops, and it is insane, the room. Like, it looks tight on TV. When you're actually stood there watching it all happen, there is no room for these guys. It is ridiculous. The turning circles on these cars wouldn't be brilliant with the big tyres and stuff. It didn't look like enough, space for a little hatchback to kind of get in and out. And these guys, and their tyres are going everywhere. It was absolutely brilliant. That was, the pit stop I was in the pits and stood there for. Insane, the room that they have to double stacks and everything going on. No wonder there is a 40 kilometre speed limit. You cannot argue with that one. Of course, all the guys who double stacked, they got screwed over in that pit stop. Anton decided to make it doubly worse by stalling coming out of the pits. DJR, they just seem to go error to error. Then continuing on in the race, second safety car, because Waters basically squared straight in the back of Davo. He admitted fault and whatever, got a drive-through penalty for it. It is what it is. But just compounded, where the errors that DJR are kind of, making, the car pace seems to go away in the races, then things like this happen as well. It just compounds there, and it makes, Van Gisbergen, considering they're probably got the DJRs are probably the fastest cars with the qualifying, we see that. But all of these little things kind of compound to make it look even worse, because Shane's off there not having any issues. Then the big incident of the race, Chaz and Courtney. Now, let's not get into all of the Twitter stuff and, captain headline there from Boost, just wanting to... Courtney knew what he was doing. He ran Chaz out. Chaz was trying to stick it down the inside for the last corner. I think he just went, screw this, I'm going to stay on it. And, what happened. I'm fully advocate more of this. You should be squaring them up rather than let them go and we'll complain about it to the media afterwards or whatever. If you've got a problem, if someone's rubbing you up or whatever, just clean them up, sort it out later, get a penalty, whatever kind of thing. But, Courtney will have another thought about, blocking Chaz next time. And other people probably go, remember what he did to Courtney? Courtney lost a podium over it. So, yeah, there should be more of it. And all of this kind of happened, and then Groves got a double podium. Like, where the hell did that come from? Fully expecting this team to be nowhere this year, and yeah, granted, hasn't been a win yet, but both cars on the podium, very, very impressive. Race 3, and you know what is becoming the form book of racing this year. The two DJR guys led off, Reynolds in third, and then Shane Van Gisbergen just kind of stalking them, waiting. Anton locked up on lap 4, ran off, drops from first to third. You know, typical DJR, kind of tripping over themselves again. Davo ended up being the one who stopped first on lap 4. Anton stopped on lap 5. Then Shane Van Gisbergen starts making his moves, overtakes Reynolds for the lead on lap 6, the lead. He ended up stopping on lap 8, came out just behind, well, 4 seconds down the road from Davo, and then just gradually over the next, I think it was 3 laps, just ate that lead away, overtook him, and then just off into the distance. It was, you know, all over and done with. And then just to top it off, drifts out of the last corner to cross the line, you know, essentially sideways, just to show off a bit and show kind of, I suppose, how easily he's doing it at the moment. Race 4, and not everything went to plan for Shane Van Gisbergen, but this was Jack Smith caused a safety car right at the start. Looked like, you know, an 18-year-old trying to do a burnout and burnt out the clutch instead. Like, look at all this smoke, bro. And no, it's not actually you doing a burnout. It's the clutch burning itself. Anyway. Feeney also in the pits got a 5-second penalty for an unsafe release. I could have sworn someone got a bigger penalty earlier this year. Maybe I should have looked through my notes before recording this. But I swear someone got a bigger penalty earlier on in the year when there wasn't actually contact. But they pulled out in front of someone and the other person braked and didn't. Anyway. Something I should have looked up beforehand. Down in the comments if you remember the incident, or if my brain's failing me once again. Big lock-up from Shane while he's challenging Chaz for the lead. And yeah, that kind of hobbled him a little bit, and then boom. 2 laps from the end, the tyre exploded, and yeah, that was the end. Where did he end up finishing? Down in 20th position. Still ended up taking out the Larry Perkins trophy, but, you know, didn't get that kind of, you know, clean sweep of podiums for the weekend, and it was really helped along. Reynolds was actually running in second and ended up, Reynolds ended up third overall for the weekend, but because Reynolds had his own problems that race, hit the wall. Yeah, that's actually quite unlike Reynolds as well. But yeah, that knocked him out of the running. So overall, the Larry Perkins trophy, Van Gisbergen ended up winning it. No surprises there. Chaz was second, 12 points behind. Reynolds was in third. And Tim Slade, the nearly man all weekend, nearly got so many podiums. He was in fourth. Then the DJR pair and Brock Feeney somehow ended up in 7th position. Jacobson, 8th overall. Jacobson. Yeah, that was a really good weekend from Gary. So he ended up getting 3 podiums over the weekend. That was as many he got 3 top 10s over the weekend. That was as many top 10s as what Team 18 got together. Brad Jones Racing, 4 cars, only got 2 top 10s over the whole weekend. Gary Jacobson in a Premier car got 3. Yeah, I mean, I'm very quick to knock Gary on his off weekends, but when he turns it on, my God, does he turn it on. Yeah, I wouldn't have expected them to get 3 top 10s for the whole year. So between the 2 of them, so for Gary by himself to get 3 top 10s in one weekend, well done, son. It's probably not worth really talking about the championship at the moment because it's half over already. Shane's just, you know, increasing his lead every time we come out. The big surprise for me over the weekend, Todd Hazelwood has got himself into 10th in the championship. He is 353 points behind Shane, which is like an eternity at this point of the championship. So essentially, we always say if you are around behind, or 300 points for the round, so if you're over that 300 point mark, essentially you're out of the championship hunt. He's already out of the championship hunt, and Dave Reynolds in 9th, he's 290 behind, so he's and unless a disaster happening like falling off his push bike, it looks like Shane's kind of cruising away with that one already. My big observations from the weekend, people are complaining about the Dunlop softs falling apart. It gave a bit of strategy to the race. That kept it really interesting. DJR, just disappointing overall. So much qualifying speed. Just little errors kind of creeping in all the time. Things that did not happen, towards the end of that Penske run. They're seemingly becoming a bit more DJR again and less Penske. I'm not sure how you change that. On the other hand, the Groves are here to play. 4 podiums over the weekend. Reynolds nearly could have taken the round win, other than that issue with crashing into the wall, and obviously the opportunity would have been there with Shane having his blown tyre. But to actually be second at that point in the weekend and be in that kind of hunt, very, very, very impressive. They are, they're starting to look serious. And my big observation over the weekend, Chaz's car is starting to actually look good. It seems to be if a car starts winning, that paint job, for some reason, it's not looking as bad right now. As some of you know, if you follow my Instagram feed, I was a guest of one of the teams over the weekend. I wasn't sure whether I should mention it or not, because of course people will accuse me of being biased because, someone giving me an experience like this. I wasn't sure if I wanted to talk about it or not, but I'm still going to stay very unbiased. I'd just like to say that Premier Racing is absolutely amazing, and no, I'm only joking. It was a big shout out, Matt Stone Racing. Thank you very much for the weekend. It was amazing to actually, I wasn't involved, but to actually be in the pits, while a live pit stop happened, stood right there in the action. Probably a bit of a bonus that it was race 2 where, I got to stand there and really feel like part of the action. I had the cans on, I had the earphones on. I could hear everything, that the engineers and the drivers were saying within the team. Amazingly, they don't say, well, these guys did not say much. There was very little communication and very direct as well. I would have thought, the snippets that we get over the radio, would have thought that there was a lot more communication going backward and forward during the race. It was actually very limited. I'll probably talk about that a bit more in Backseat Races tomorrow. It's going to be Tuesday night, so tonight now, our live stream chat. I will put a link also to that in the description if you're looking for that channel, but it will be streamed across the 2 channels again for the next couple of weeks. But yes, it will be Tuesday this week, going back to the normal Thursday this week, just with the long weekend. I will be traveling on Thursday night, so I can't obviously, well, I could do it from the car, but it's it would be very difficult to do it while driving. So until next time, I'm still Dave. I had a super great weekend. Thank you once again, Matt Stone Racing. Down in the comments, let me know what you think, and until next time, I'll catch you later.